Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Monday edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. When our founding fathers and mothers, the people of this country who strove for our freedom, they had only one idea in mind. They had only one intent. They wanted freedom for Bharat. Whether they were in Peshawar, whether they were in Chittagong, whether they were in Chennai or whether they were in Srinagar. Any part of this broken into various riyasats country at that point in time, people only wanted freedom. It was the idea of an independent nation that brought them together. What is the idea for the opposition today? What drives them? The narrative of India 75 years into its independence, or the narrative that let's do whatever it takes to defeat Modi and the BJP? How many times in the recent past have you heard leaders from the opposition come up with a better plan for Bharat? And how many times in the recent past have you heard opposition netas say, we need to do whatever we can to defeat the BJP? Well, even one of the Davedars or candidates for the vice president's position, a very, very tall leader herself, tweeted the other day saying that we need to get together to defeat the BJP. So obsessed, have they become so obsessed with just a party, an ideology, and perhaps an individual that they've forgotten that they all represent India, that all of us owe our identity to India? This is exactly what the Prime Minister earlier in the day reiterated, said very clearly, obsess with India, obsess with what your plan is for this country, society, its people, not one person, one party or one ideology. Listen in.
हाल के समय में विचारधारा या राजनीतिक स्वार्थों को समाज और देश के हित से भी ऊपर रखने का चलन शुरू हो गया है। कई बार तो सरकार के कामों में विपक्ष के कुछ इसलिए अड़ंगे लगाते हैं क्योंकि जब वो सत्ता में थे तो अपने लिए फैसले वो लागू नहीं कर पाए। अब अगर उनका क्रियान्वयन होता है तो उसका विरोध करते हैं। देश के लोग इस सोच को पसंद नहीं करते हैं। ये हर एक राजनीतिक पार्टी का दायित्व है कि दल का विरोध, व्यक्ति का विरोध देश के विरोध में न बदलें। विचारधाराओं का अपना स्थान है और होना भी चाहिए। राजनीतिक महत्वाकांक्षाएं तो हो सकती हैं, लेकिन देश सबसे पहले है, समाज सबसे पहले है, राष्ट्र प्रथम है।
Let's get into bed with radicals, with anti-national elements, with anarchists and disruptors, and those who actually should have got no place in my political scheme of things just because अभी इनकी जरूरत है, काम निकाल लेते हैं, बाद में देख लेंगे, संभाल लेंगे। डैमेज हुआ तो हुआ, देश जला तो जला, दंगे हुए तो हुए। Is this attitude right? He's asked this question, the Prime Minister, and he's also put forth the fact that allow Parliament to function. Din disruption debate. Where is the debate? There's just din disruption and drama and hangama that's happening. Where is the business transaction? Where is the opposition's constructive role? Now, many may turn around and say, what was this disposition doing in 2011, 2012, 2013? Well, that's a fair question to ask. But just because you felt you were sitting in the treasury benches then and you thought this is wrong, should you do the same or should you contribute to the country's growth and take a positive story and say we are doing what is there for the country's growth? That's what the Prime Minister has turned around and said. Of course, there is going to be politics, but let's look at when protests actually marred Parliament. 25th of July, today, let's start and then go backwards. 4 Lok Sabha MPs of the Congress party, 2 from Tamil Nadu, 2 from Kerala, suspended for the rest of the monsoon session. The suspension is over placards and disrupting proceeding, deliberately disrupting proceeding. There's nothing wrong in what is written in the placard. The fact that you're holding a placard and standing in the well, it was very clearly mentioned this will not be allowed because you cannot disrupt the regular business of Parliament. Because that is also your fundamental duty. December 21st, 2027, Rajya Sabha TMC MP Derek O'Brien suspended for the rest of the winter session, accused of throwing the rule book at the chair. August 11, 2021, again, 12 opposition MPs suspended on November 29th for the ruckus that was created, accused of unruly, violent behavior. And we know what happened to some of the marshals who were just doing their job. 23rd of July, 2021, TMC MP Shantanu Sen suspended for the rest of the monsoon session and accused of unruly conduct, snatching papers from the IT minister. So, are they competing with each other, saying who's unrulier than the other? Or are they going to compete saying who's got a better narrative for the country? And I've got one better than yours, Mr. Modi. How many of them have come out and said, I've got a better narrative than Narendra Modi for Bharat? Let's dive into this debate, ladies and gentlemen. India or ideology, what's going to be the priority? It's a straight face-off between the BJP and a voice from the opposition, Congress leader Sujata Paul with us, Sardar R.P. Singh of the BJP. It's a straight face-off to the lady and the gentleman. Namaste. Thank you for taking the right stand. But who is going to take the right stand for Bharat is the question. Idea, individual, ideology and party. Is that going to be priority over the country? Sujata Paul, how would you want to respond to the Prime Minister?
First of all, the Prime Minister of India needs to remember that he is the Prime Minister of the country, of every person. It is the responsibility of the government to maintain the decorum of the House. And I'm not saying it was no less than late Mr. Arun Jaitley who said it. So if the government is not able to get people on board, it is the government's fault. And secondly, most importantly, when the opposition, along with the TNC and the Aam Aadmi Party, everybody wants on the GST, which affects the lives of people all across the board today, why is there no discussion on it? And if people are being suspended, it shows the failure of this government. Because the class is run by the class monitor, and the class monitor, when he fails, he throws his students out of it. This is not how Parliament should be run. And remember that India first, nation first, is not something that Prime Minister Modi has given us as a slogan. It is within our hearts. India is first, and that is why the opposition wants discussion. And when the discussions do not happen, this is what happens in the Parliament. I will not forget the scenes of the Rajya Sabha after when the ordinance was being passed as an act in the Rajya Sabha and the mics were switched off. At that time also, the opposition leaders were suspended. But that is not the way to run the country. Yes?
No, so if the mics are off, that doesn't mean the mics are uprooted and the rule book is thrown and marshals are boxed and beaten and there are MPs on record deliberately pulling and trying to get into a fisticuff with the marshals, whereas they were all 2.5 to 3 feet away from the other. So I remember those visuals too as an individual citizen. But you've made an accusation against the BJP. Let them answer that. You are the one who's not allowing discussion on important issues. The placards they were holding, Sardar R.P. Singh, are of inflation or of price rise, and they are raising the issue of the GST because they say that it was unanimous, but it was not consensual, it was not everybody, it was by majority within the GST Council. There were objections to it. These are the allegations of the opposition, Sardar R.P. Singh. Inflation पे discussion इतना difficult है क्या?
आनंद,
महंगाई पे discussion क्यों नहीं हो रहा? 4 दिन हो गए. Sir.
होना ही चाहिए, डिस्कशन होना ही चाहिए और डिस्कशन के बिना तो पार्लियामेंट चलना ही नहीं चाहिए. परंतु you probably missed on one part of the last ruckus, which was that Bhangra scene on the tables of the parliament. There was a parliamentarian who was on the top of one of the table and doing Bhangra, dancing tune of Bhangra. So we all remember that, what all happened in last parliament. See, only request is that there is certain norms, certain rules by which the parliament is governed. And then they have to follow that norms and rules. Simple. I mean, placards, I mean, you have all the right to, politicians or people in public life or otherwise also, people have all the right to hold placards. We did it today in Delhi, but there are specific spaces for that. Parliament is not for placard, Parliament is for discussion. And yes, Arun Jaitley ji said so, that yes, disruption is one of the tools for democracy. But at what cost? When Supreme Court said there is corruption, when Supreme Court intervened and said there need to be inquiry into it, only after that, when the Congress was not accepting the request by this opposition for holding inquiry, holding the JPC into that, and the Joint Parliamentary Committee into that time the disruption happened. Not on every issue you come and bring a placard and no, Jindabad, Murdabad, Jindabad. You have all the right to do that. Plus to do that at Jantar Mantar. We'll also join you for that with our Jindabad, Murdabad against the corruption. So there is a way to run a parliament, there is a way to run a Lok Sabha, and then they have to abide by that. And then I've just heard that Om Birla ji said that we are prepared to discuss each and every issue on the floor. Under certain sections of the parliament, we have to send a request under certain section of parliament, and then everything will be heard according to that. But opposition is there to create ruckus, not to allow the parliament to run, and this is not happening. For the first time in the parliament, this ongoingly happened session after session. Well, but what Prime Minister said was much bigger than this. Can I get a second? Ji. What Prime Minister Modi ji said was much bigger, had a much larger canvas than this. I'll give you one example out of this. The farmer bill, which was introduced by the government, was part of the agenda of the manifesto of the Congress Party in 2019. They wanted a step ahead on that. They wanted to scrap the mandis altogether. We didn't do that. We said everyone has a choice and right to pick up whichever mandi they want to. But since government is doing so, since Modi ji is doing so we have to oppose it, whether it's even our own agenda. And as you said, they don't have any alternative agenda. I mean, today people are looking for if you have better alternative plan, please give that to people.
ये कैसे हो सकता है? एजेंडा मेरा हो और बिल पास आप करोगे, ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? Even if it was in my manifesto, no, why are you passing it?
Anything for the good of the country. Anything which is good for the country should be done. Anything which is for good for the country should be done.
आइडिया मेरा, मैनिफेस्टो मेरा, चुराओ आप और हलवा भी खाओ आप, वोट भी बटोरो आप, ये थोड़ी करने देंगे. Even if it is for the good of the country.
तो आप बोलो लोगों को बोलो कि हमारा एजेंडा था, मोदी साहब ने लागू कर दिया, धन्यवाद मोदी साहब.
Okay, now Sujata Paul respond.
क्रेडिट आपको दे देते, मोदी साहब ने कहा था.
बिना डिस्कशन के मोदी जी को सब पता है, सब चंगासी बताते तो हैं. और जो सबसे बड़ा इशू है, why don't you want a discussion on that? And for your kind information, please go and read the manifesto 2019 of the Congress Party to understand what we have said. And secondly, is Modi ji going to decide without any conversation and communication, without any discussion, like he did for the demonetization? But look, demonetization तो आतंकवाद रुका
और ना ही काला धन खत्म हुआ. So let's not get there, because this country will be run by discussion. This country will not be run by a Shahenshah or a Tanashah.
So it will not be a Shahenshah or a Tanashah, but as far as I am, correct me if I am wrong, in the case of inflation and price rise, was there not an explanation given saying that the finance minister is currently unwell and indisposed? Let her come back into the house and let her be okay, and we will have the discussion so that she can answer all the questions and the queries. Now, despite that, regular other business is being disrupted. Is that fair or is that unfair? Now, in that case कि ये मोदी की सेशन, पार्लियामेंट सेशन को चलने नहीं देंगे, मोदी कुछ भी कहेगा हम उसको अपोज करेंगे. Is there a feeling? Is there an attitude? Is there an attitude where the fight now has become ये विचारधारा की लड़ाई है? ये एक व्यक्ति के व्यक्तित्व की लड़ाई है. ये एक पार्टी के खिलाफ मोर्चा है जहां हम सबको साथ आना पड़ेगा, whether irrespective of whether we've opposed each other in the past. Is that the case, Sujata Paul? And then I'll bring in RP Singh.
See, that happens in a democracy. Obviously, there will be various parties and there will be a conflict between them. Everybody wants to run the country their way. But whoever comes into power has to take everybody on board. So I don't understand what this argument is. And it's not only about Mr. Modi. In the parliament, every MP is important and everybody's suggestions should be taken. You never know. Maybe somebody who's an independent MP might come up with a great suggestion. Why can't we have a discussion? And as far as Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman is concerned, she can always give the answers later on and let the discussions happen. Let the questions come. Let her watch it on television like all of us have been watching it. And the scenes haven't been very happy for the common man. So let's understand that this country is going to be run by discussion and getting people on board. Otherwise, the situation will remain like this. Sabko ladao, sab marwao. Or, when you're talking about nation first तो तभी होगा ना जब जीवित लोग होंगे. जीवित लोग कब होंगे? जब आप महंगाई पे बात करेंगे. भूखो थोड़े मारना है लोगों को.
Yeah, but the fact is this not now is it fair for the opposition to continue to disrupt parliament and disrupt other regular business despite being told that the discussion will happen moment the finance minister is back in parliament? Or then your maximum you can say is, okay, let there be a time-bound thing that in the next 3-4 days, if she is not fully well and she cannot come in, then some other minister in the government who can take that role or who can answer on her behalf, either the MOS or the Commerce and Industry. There could be a position that could be taken. That's not being done. That's the counter-argument. Now, let RP Singh respond. But RP Singh ji, the other aspect is the responsibility to manage the opposition rests on the government, sir. It's the Parliamentary Affairs Minister and the Treasury Bench's job to ensure that the Parliament functions.
Well, every time the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, even the senior ministers have reached out to the opposition and has put the point across to them and told them, just wait for the time and we'll discuss each and every issue. We're not skirting from any issue. But as far as Sujata ji is saying, why was demonetization not discussed? Ma'am, before demonetization, everyone just given a chance to deposit money, deposit tax, and get their money stamped. But people who didn't understand that, probably that's their problem. But by declaring demonetization, we couldn't have allowed to help people to put that 22 crore rupees or 2,000 crore rupees, big amount, converting that money into whatever money they wanted to convert into.
So
there are a few technical policies which have been done. Can I interrupt you, ma'am, please? Sujata, please. I mean, it's the face off. Let's discuss one by one. We good. At least don't behave like the way you people are behaving in the parliament. So there are ways and means to discuss issues in parliament. We'll appreciate. Come on board and discuss issues in parliament. And each and every, even the agriculture bill, even the farmers bill were being discussed in the parliament. Sorry, they were not the agriculture bill. They were trade and commerce bill. They were even discussed in the parliament. And give me a second, say, they were discussed in the parliament, but when it came to Rajya Sabha, they created ruckus. So it's up to them to create a ruckus. But since things are being implemented by the Prime Minister, and they have no other alternative policy with them, and they don't have a leader to pitch against the Prime Minister. That's why keep creating ruckus. But ultimately, people can see through this. Na neta hai, na niti hai aapke paas. अगर नीति हो तब भी कर सकता है और नेता तो आपका सरकार कई साल नहीं होने वाला
आपकी नियत भी ठीक नहीं है और
हमारी नियत ठीक है सभी लोग आशीर्वाद देते हैं सुजाता फॉल हमारी नियत ठीक है सभी लोग आशीर्वाद देते हैं हमारी ठीक नियत पे लोग आशीर्वाद दे रहे हैं नेता पर ही लोग आशीर्वाद दे रहे हैं आपकी नियत आपको आशीर्वाद देना बंद कर दिया
चलिए कोई बात नहीं आपको आशीर्वाद मिल रहा है तो आशीर्वाद मिल रहा है तो सबको साथ लेके तो चलेंगे और मिस्टर सिंह You just said that 21 crore रुपए कोई कैसे इकट्ठे कर रहा है Demonetization is a failure. You have just proved it by saying that कैसे बताते नहीं तो लोग 21 करोड़ इकट्ठे कर लेते कैसे किया ये तो आपकी सरकार को बताना होगा That means demonetization.
No. We are digressing. No. Sujata Paul. What he said is that people would have got a chance to park their illicit money, ill-gotten money away had there been a forewarning on demonetization. That's his justification. Let's come back to the issue. No, 1 minute. Sujata ji, let's come back to the issue at hand. Please tell me, what is the plan for India as far as the opposition is concerned? What is their plan for India? Defeat BJP cannot be a plan for India. Defeat block Modi, stop Modi cannot be the plan that the opposition has for India. You please tell me what is the concrete plan? Why is there a plan to ensure that? Why are plans being made? Are plans being made how to disrupt Parliament? or are plans being made as to how to make Parliament more functional for the people and make Parliament more productive? What is the plan of the opposition? Let me ask you that.
See, as far as Mr. Modi is concerned, definitely he has to be removed. Because look at the way infrastructure.
No, he has to be removed is not something that you will decide, ma'am. Whether or not he has to be removed or whether or not he should get another overwhelming mandate is the decision of the people of this country, the voter of this country, Sujata ji.
As Mr. Modi is concerned,
he has to be removed is not a statement that you can make, ma'am.
Party which is in power and in a constitutional democracy.
No, that is not going to happen in Parliament, ma'am. Sujata Paul, what you are saying is not going to happen in Parliament. It will happen in the electoral battlefield, and it will be the people of the country who will decide who will lead the country and who deserves to be Prime Minister or not. But what I am asking you is, what is your plan for Parliament as opposition? Please tell me. What is the concrete plan beyond disruption and beyond din?
That is why he does not want any discussions in the Parliament, and that's the bottom line of it.
My point is that the insistence right now in Parliament is you discuss this, otherwise I will not allow any other discussion. That's what the opposition is doing. There are 100 matters to discuss, not just two, ma'am.
Tell me, if Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman is unwell, isn't there anybody officiating?
My point is, has that been even raised? Has the opposition even agreed to a date and time? Has the opposition in the last 4 days of discussion and din and disruption, has the opposition in the last 3 or 4 days even agreed to a particular date and time when this discussion will happen and allowed other debates to happen? Has the opposition done that, ma'am?
Has the government got the people on board, the opposition on board? No.
Got the opposition on board for what? No, please tell me, got the opposition on board for what? The GST decision, the finance minister outside Parliament has said that the GST decision was taken by the GST Council, which is a collective of all the finance ministers of all states and union territories.
That is a recommendatory council.
If the decision was arrived at there, after that the debate has to be, you decide on a date and time when you want to decide the debate, then you decide the other matters. Parliament is apprised of more than 25 different legislations which have to be done, and there are more than 500 MPs who have their issues to raise in Parliament, ma'am.
Okay,
RP Singh.
Brought in ordinances.
They brought in ordinances, others store ordinances. We are again digressing. But RP Singh. Respond. My point is, sir, इनको डिस्कशन चाहिए प्राइस राइज पे, महंगाई मुद्दा है कि नहीं? इनको डिस्कशन चाहिए इन्फ्लेशन पे, इन्फ्लेशन मुद्दा है कि नहीं? इनको डिस्कशन चाहिए जीएसटी पे, जीएसटी मुद्दा है कि नहीं? सबको लग रहा है जीएसटी, अरे सब पे जीएसटी लगा है, जिस पे जीएसटी नहीं था, मुद्दा है, देश के लिए मुद्दा है, इसको पहले दिन में करके निपटा देते, आगे निकल लेते, क्यों नहीं किया सर? ये भी is that not a fair question, RP Singh?
Very fair. I mean, only request which the government has made is that wait for another week's time. The minister will be back in the Parliament. She'll answer every question of yours because she is the most competent person. She will answer that. But their point is that let's come to the GST because they try to, ma'am, Sujata Paul, stop it. This is not the Parliament. Yeah, Anand Saman ki debate hai. Parliament nahi hai. Yeah, Anand Saman ki debate hai. Discuss. Ma'am, I allowed you.
No, Sujata Paul, see, Sujata ji, you know very well. Sujata ji, you know very well. I am the heckler in chief here. I heckle you, you heckle me back. I have no problems. Okay, I heckle RP Singh, he heckles me back, no problems. Please don't heckle each other. He yielded when you were speaking, so please yield when he is speaking. Request. Yes, RP Singh, please complete.
So my only answer to the GST part is that every finance minister, including Chhattisgarh, including Rajasthan, including Jharkhand, are part of the GST Council. And if they had a problem, they could have come out of the GST Council and said, we don't accept this. But they kept shut on that. After it was implemented, after it was announced, they raised up questions. And also questions which are not valid. Secondly, my humble request to Sujata Paul and all those parliamentarians who can hear your debate is that please wait for the finance minister to come and answer. Had that much of courtesy towards the lady finance minister. Had that much of courtesy, as an extending courtesy to Sujata Paul to say what she is to say. I'm not heckling her. So at least have that much of courtesy. and has allowed the debate to happen on other subjects and other issues. And by next week, probably midweek, she is there in the parliament. She'll answer each one of your questions. We're not running away from the parliament. We're not running away from the questions also.
So now what the other allegation is, the moment other discussion starts, the MPs walk out. They don't sit. That's another part. But Sujata Paul, respond to RP Singh. I have to wind up after this. Yeah.
The GST Council's recommendations are merely recommendations. One. So whatever has to be decided is to be decided by the government. And the government of the BJP party is in majority of the states. So what argument is that? And if you remember,
the argument please allow me just 15 seconds, ma'am, and then you can complete.
There will be no
the argument what they are saying is in the past when the GST slab rates there was difference, soon after the council meeting all the opposition leaders would come out and get into press conferences. There will be heated debate about what happened inside the council meeting, and they say we oppose this. What RP Singh is saying, Sardar RP Singh is saying, he is saying, अब की बार जब मीटिंग हुई, बताया इन सबको स्लैब में इंक्लूड करेंगे, ये सब पे GST वसूल करेंगे. None of the opposition leaders came out of the council meeting and held press conference said कि हमने तो मना कर दिया भाई, इस सबको आप इसमें माइंड नहीं डाल सकते. You didn't know, you should not do it. They didn't say it. They kept quiet. They waited. And then they suddenly realized, अरे GST बढ़ गया, मुद्दा बन गया. Then opposition is making din and disruption in parliament is what the counter is.
Yeah. जिस दिन डिक्लेरेशन हुआ उसी दिन तो मुद्दा बन गया.
नहीं जिस दिन मीटिंग हुई, मीटिंग में सहमति बनी, तब बाहर आके आपने मना नहीं किया कि भाई we are not for it, this is not a consensus, this is not unanimous. That's what they didn't say. That's what I'm saying. They're saying अंदर कुछ और कहते हैं, बाहर कुछ और कहते हैं. That's what they're saying.
अंदर कुछ नहीं कहा. अब आप ये बात बताइए मेरे को. One small thing. Look, what happens with this, you know very well that you have been saying that, Rahul Gandhi walked out. But जब हम कोई बात कहते हैं किसी standing committee में ही जैसे कोई matter होता है, सुनेगा नहीं, then what's the point? And secondly, if you remember the standing committee on defense earlier, when Modi ji had just come into power and Major General B.C. Kanduri was there, and he wanted an increase in the defense budget, he was thrown out the next day. So, you must understand that this country is being run with...
No. I'll tell you what. Let's come to the matter. It happens now that it is a collective responsibility of every member of parliament to ensure that the parliament functions and business is conducted, because it is run on taxpayers' money. Not somebody's individual paisa. It is taxpayers' money, and that is why it is important that a collective responsibility that parliament functions. You set a date and time for a particular discussion that you demand, because the opposition has to do it. It has to challenge the government on policies. It's what they're going to do. But are you doing it? Are you doing it for the sake of India, or are you doing it because you need to get Modi out, or you need to disrupt whatever Modi is planning to do? That is where the question relies. At this point in time, actions will speak louder than words on both sides. So we'll see what happens tomorrow and day after. Is there further din disruption, or is there debate and discussion in the interest of the country? Responsibility lies on everybody who's there in parliament. That's where I'm going to conclude this debate. Thank you, Sardar RP Singh and Sujata Paul. Thank you very much. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, to the other big issue. It's the only temple in Tamil Nadu which is not under government control. And it is the only temple in Tamil Nadu against whom the HRNC department of Tamil Nadu has said, if you have got complaints, tell us what complaints you have. And it's the only temple in Tamil Nadu where 14,000 complaints have been received. Some of them they have said, we paid donation, we didn't get receipt. Now you please tell me, ladies and gentlemen, if you give donation at a temple and you don't get receipt, will you wait till somebody decides and the state government decides, complaint hai to batao, and then you will write? Or will you make a ruckus and say, give me the receipt right now? They say in the Chidambaram temple, Nataraja temple, in Chidambaram, there is an untouchability wall. How many of you have gone there, and how many of you have seen an untouchability wall there? Does it exist? Now the question is this concern or is this conspiracy? कि ये अकेला हमारे control से बाहर कैसे है? We'll debate that right now. Let's try and understand what is happening in the Tamil Nadu HRNC department's case. What they are making a case is that there is massive irregularity which is happening in this temple. They are saying that the temple donations collections, there is something wrong. The temple is saying this is age-old, baseless allegation trying to grab control. You have to reach some reason to get in. Some reason to get in and try and take control. HRNC department's case is social ills. Example, child marriages, untouchability wall within the temple. The temple's case is there is no untouchability wall. And this issue of child marriage, if there is child marriage, it's a legal sanction. It's a legal case. And anybody who witnesses this, you should go to court and say this is child marriage which has been happening. It's not happening. HRNC's charges are unsubstantiated is what they are saying. The Tamil Nadu HRNC department's case cites Hindu Charities Act 1959. The temple's case turns around and says 2013 Supreme Court order. The Supreme Court order says none of the past matters. What matters now is they have the freedom to run their affairs, and if you believe they are wrong, come and prove it to us here in court. Now, department entitled to inspect, priests cannot question is what they are trying to say. The temple's case is that the inspection rule is not applicable to the Nataraja Chidambaram temple. They are saying massive fraud carried out by temple priests. The temple is saying Dikshitars are protected under Article 26 of the Constitution. Don't target them unless you have hard proof which you can prove in a court of law. That's their counter. Now, let's try and understand what the law says. The law, Supreme Court in Jan 2014, a 142-year plus case, ladies and gentlemen, it finally came to some fruition. 1885 is when the Dikshitars approached the High Court and sought private temple designation. They have said, they very clearly came out and said that the Dikshitars are a denominational sect. Dikshitars are Shiv Bhakts protected under Article 26. The Dikshitars have a right to very clearly administer the temple, not just perform worship, administer it. The government should not play with temples. This is what the top court of the country said in Jan 2014. No government has absolute right to take over temple trusts. This is what they have said. HRNC Act clause number 107 says if a temple is administered by a denominational sect, no other section of the act actually applies. Inspection is not applicable to the Nataraja temple. And this is the history, ladies and gentlemen. The history continuously says since 1885 till 2014, it's been a constant fight. It's been a constant fight which has finally come once again into conflict because the HRNC department is looking at it and saying, we have concern. But our question is it conspiracy or is it concern? The Chidambaram temple row, tell us what you think about it. Let's go across to our guest this evening, Uma Anandan, BJP councillor and Vice President, Temple Worshippers Society. G. Chandrasekhar, Advocate, Chidambaram Temple is with us. Gokul Chandran, Political Analyst is with us. And Prerna Thiruvaipati, Researcher is also with us. And Vice President of the Hindu Janashakti. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first ask Mr. Chandrasekhar. Mr. Chandrasekhar, Namaskaram. What is this, sir? 14,000 complaints against your temple. Have you received these complaints before this?
No, yes, sir. Let me start with this. Even at the outset, I just want to say these allegations are baseless and they got no basis because they have been made. These allegations are not new to us. They have been made in several years by some groups who are opposed to Dikshitars. They have been carrying out this well-orchestrated disinformation and rather even hate campaign against the Dikshitars because the final quietus, as you rightly pointed out in the introduction, final quietus has been given by the 6/1/2014 judgment that the Dikshitars are denomination and their administration is given a final quietus by the Supreme Court judgment. But some group were not able to accept the reality and also the top court judgment. And more especially the HRNC department, it's only a conspiracy, as you are rightly put it in the introduction. It is not concern, it is conspiracy. Because whenever there is a change of government in Tamil Nadu, these groups who are opposed to Dikshitars, who are carrying out hate campaign for their personal vendetta against Dikshitars, join with these authorities and they make all these baseless allegations. these baseless allegations, this untouchability war never existed. It is an imaginary thing.
Is there child marriage happening? And why? Who has this agenda against the Dikshitars? Aren't they a minority within a minority? They're a really small subsect, isn't it?
They are non-believers. They are non-believers, and there are some fringe groups like Tamil literature movement and Makkal Adhigaram. They are non-believers, and even the Communist Party. They are also the Communist Party is a non-believer organization party, but they want the temple to be taken over by the HRNC department.
No, but if they are non-believers, then they should be going after every temple in Tamil Nadu, whether it is under government control or not.
Because this temple is being managed by a micro-ethnic group of 1,500 people. They are the denominational. This is the only temple not under the control of the HRNC department. In fact, this is the only temple, as you rightly put it out in your introduction, that this is the only temple which is not under the control, and there are more than 100 years of litigation. And it has finally ended in 2014.
Correct.
But they are even not accepting that top court verdict, and they are casting aspiration even against the top court judgment, which is per se contempt of court. Now I go back to the allegation that has been made.
Yes.
Because nowhere in India or nowhere in any state, yes, department solicits these kind of the complaints from the public against one temple. So this is very simple, that this temple is being targeted by the HRNC department because they want someone to take over the control of the temple and encourage those people, and they wanted to play into the game that has been played by the people who are opposed to, who are running a hate campaign against the Dikshitars. Now, let me answer first. There is no donation because we are not accepting public donation. There is no undial in the temple, and it is not like the other HRNC temple where there are undials have been maintained.
Correct.
Because this is a votive shrine where this is not a votive shrine where there is an undial, because the temple tradition prohibits undial to be installed. But these group wants undials to be placed there, and we don't accept any public donations because it is a temple history and tradition that all the religious duties and functions were being sponsored by some well-renowned trusts like Pachayappa Trust, MS Trust, and they give all the
so you don't take money from you don't accept money at all from the people as donations, as public donations, or there is no crowdfunding which is happening. So quite simply put in layman terms, there is no crowdfunding which is happening because you don't put a box there and say put whatever you have, whatever offering you want to give, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 1 rupee, 2 rupees, nothing is there, that undial is not there at all is what you are saying.
I will explain you in detail how it is different from the other temple, because 5 minutes from the entry from the main entrance to the temple, you can have darshan free of cost without any discrimination on caste, religion, and anything. No discrimination.
Correct.
Everybody can come, even Hindus and Muslims, Christians, everybody. Caste, there is no caste restrictions also. So everybody can have darshans within 5 minutes of entry into this famous temple. But whereas the other famous temple controlled by HRNC department, the devotees have to stand in queue for more than 3 hours. And if they want special darshan, they have to pay money.
But Mr. Chandrasekhar, what is already under their control, they will never look at that. But Umaji, I'll come back to you in just a bit. Umaji, there are more than 25 to 30 at least big temples in Tamil Nadu. So if you are in the HRNC department and you want to list out complaints against these temples, will you say, okay, only the one which is not under my control, you tell me what is the problem? Or will you say, please tell me whatever is the problem across all temples in Tamil Nadu?
Yes, let me tell you, first I would like to put back the clock. I would like to go back to the Supreme Court judgment. The learned judges in 2014 appreciated the temple management of these Dikshitars. They said this is one of the best managed temples with regard to jewels over which allegations have risen now. Are the learned judges fools as per the HRNC? Second, I would like to ask, basically I can turn back the clock. They have come this time, they said there are allegations and they came inside. When we said show the allegations, they go back, they send an RDO, they send this person, that person, and then put an ad in the newspaper to invite people. Is that not stage managed? Obviously, they say 10,000. Let me tell you today, I don't even need to put an ad. I simply have to put in my social media. I invite people to give complaint against HRNCE. The queue will be from Chennai to Kashmir in the north. In the south, it will go beyond the Bay of Bengal. In the east to west, it could be from between Maharashtra and Bengal. Is it not ridiculous? When we have laid so many allegations, and another thing I would like to say, a special tahsildar has been endowed with over 3,000 acres of this Chidambaram land, which is being managed by them. Not a single paisa has come for the last 50 years. Approximately, it should amount to about 6,000 crores. So the HRNCE are the culprits. Why are they not taking I should file a criminal action against the HRNCE and the officers for dereliction of duty.
Do it, ma'am.
Let them answer. And the last audit that they did, have they come out openly with an audit report? This particular government? Let them answer the allegations.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is,
against each and every temple.
fact of the matter, Umaji, is that what they are doing is not under scrutiny. What is not under them is under scrutiny by them.
Yes.
That is the reality. That is the current situation.
Yes, and
now,
which the Supreme Court has given a certificate saying this is the best managed way, and there are 20 lockers and 20 keys for the lockers, and each one, it is with each 20 individuals. It is not with 20 people together. One holds the 20 keys.
20 keys. So there is no one person who has access to the funds, access to the temple treasures. Nobody. It's access across 20 people.
Yes.
Now let me just bring in Gokul Chandran and ask him, Mr. Gokul Chandran, if you ask somebody or if you put out an ad and say, do you have complaints against this person? Now, first you go and tell that person, like let's say for me, you come and tell me, Anand Narsaman, there are lots of complaints against you and I have come to investigate these complaints. I ask you, Mr. Gokul Chandran, please tell me where are the complaints. Then you go back, you put out an ad, do you have complaint against Anand Narsaman? So, isn't that retrofitting your cause in the first place? That's the first question. Second question, if people send you 10,000 complaints, whose responsibility is it to verify whether these complaints are genuine or not before you come and make an allegation against me?
Yeah, good evening, Anand. See, in our previous debates also, we have discussed the same topic, and I have always maintained that any temple should be run by the government. India is a democratic country. The state is a democratic elected state, and the temples, the money which is involved in it, it has to be handled by the government and not by few individuals who can do whatever they want. In the case of Chidambaram temple also, what is happening is few individuals.
One minute. Umaji, let him complete. Give him his 2 minutes, please. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, few individuals, what they are doing, they are doing whatever they want as the whims and fancies. Nobody is going to control them. No, government cannot involve in their matters. That is what they want to say. Now, Mr. Chandrasekhar was telling that CPM and the non-believers are questioning. Why shouldn't they question? Just because somebody is non-believer, they shouldn't question the corruption and malpractices happening somewhere.
But you have to prove the corruption. You have to prove there is corruption, no, sir.
Somewhere.
No, Mr. Gokul Chandran, respectfully, may I ask you, sir?
You asked me that question.
So I'm just asking you, Mr. Gokul Chandran.
You asked me that question. I will reply on that.
Just because you say it is corrupt and malpractice, does it become corrupt and malpractice, or do you need to have proof? Now, if a Hindu individual asks the function of the functioning of a church or a mosque or a gurudwara, what will you say? How is it your concern? You are a non-believer.
See, I will answer all your questions.
Non-believer. So, but in the case of a Nataraja Swami temple, a non-believer can ask questions.
Yeah, I will answer everything. I will answer everything. Give me just 1 minute. 1 more minute. See, first of all, you asked HRNC, they are, after receiving the complaints, they are making allegations. No, they have not made any allegation. They have said this is what we have received, and they will be confirming them. They have not confirmed this is happening. They have just said we have received complaints and we will investigate the matter. Nothing has proved. No concrete
They
proof.
First came and said there are allegations against you.
They will investigate and find out.
If Anand Narsaman goes to Gokul Chandran, Mr. Gokul Chandran, there are allegations against you, what will you say? Show me what are the allegations. then I'll say, okay, give me some time. I go out the next day, I put out an ad and say, do you have allegations against Gokul Chandran? Then I come back 2 weeks later and say, Gokul Chandran, I said I have allegations against you now. Post facto, I've got allegations. What do you say? Prove them.
Complain against me. If 14,000 people, 14,000 people complained against me, then there is something wrong.
Sir, how do you know there are 14,000? There could be 14,000 bots also, sir.
Both of us.
You have to first verify whether they are bots or there are actual complaints.
Yeah, exactly. The onus is on you and me to prove or disprove what
correct. The onus is on first. And isn't the onus first on the alleger? That I have received this. You have to first confirm that these are bona fide. If I take you to a court of law, you will first say prove that these are bona fide complaints before you come and make an allegation against me. And then you ask a response. It's not my job to go and verify.
Anand, no, and you can always say this is what there are 14,000 complaints against Mr. Gokul Chandran. This is what we have received and we are going to investigate. Can't you say this much?
No, but who's going to investigate? Again, if I have received complaints against Gokul Chandran, I am making an actual allegation against Gokul Chandran, I have to first verify the complaint, right? Onus of verification lies on me. Right now, the HRNC department is asking, it is asking the Chidambaram Natarajaswamy temple to answer to all the 14,000 complaints.
Natarajaswamy temple is not in Pakistan.
Sir.
Listen, it is not in Pakistan, it is in democratic India.
Correct.
So whatever is happening.
So what kind of rationale are you saying? Sir, it is not under the control of the HRNC department. HRNC department, it's not within its jurisdiction.
But it is.
It's not within its jurisdiction. It is in Tamil Nadu only, but it is outside the jurisdiction of the HRNC department.
Listen, I'll
sir,
tell you.
Don't make, sir, please understand where I am coming from. There has to be a certain amount of logic in what you are saying. My point is, what will you say? Anand, what are you doing? You are deliberately singling me out. Will you not turn around and tell me, Gokul Chandran, you are deliberately singling me out? That is exactly what the HRNC department seems to be doing with the Chidambaram Natarajaswamy temple, sir. You don't like it, right? Why should anybody else like it? Why should the Natarajaswamy temple authorities like it? Prerna Tirupati.
Listen.
1 minute, coming back to you, Gokulji, coming back. Yeah. I'm coming to you, sir, coming to you. 1 minute, Prerna ji.
Namaskaram, Anand. Thank you so much for having me. I would just like to go back and inform the audience about the 2014 judgment. Like Umaji had just said, the Honorable Supreme Court had said that this is one of the best run temples, and a lot of people might not be aware that this is run in the most democratic way possible. The number of Dikshitars, the 20 keys that we were just discussing, I'll just like to tell a little bit more about this temple. So, since according to the history of this temple, since 2 millennia, the uniqueness of this temple is since 2 millennia, they have been the Dikshitars, the Podu Dikshitars, who have been taking care of the temple, not just as archakars, but also as the admins. So they work on a rotational basis. So what happens is 20 Dikshitars take care of a temple on any given day. Those 20 Dikshitars perform those duties for 20 days. And after those 20 days, those 20 Dikshitars are again moved, and 20 new Dikshitars from that family of Podu Dikshitars come and look after the temple. This is probably the most unique way that this temple is run.
Right.
By the family of approximately 360 Dikshitars. So each Dikshitar probably gets one chance in approximately 300 days to perform as the chief archakar in that temple. So these 20 Dikshitars who perform their duties on a daily basis are rotated around each temple that is there in the Chidambaram premises.
Correct.
So this is the way the
temple is. So it's democratic. Nobody has ultimate control, but everybody has access to the Lord, and everybody gets the time, gets the chance to worship and perform archana to the Lord. So it's a democratic setup. But if it is a democratic setup,
very democratic setup. And also, Anandji, one uniqueness of this temple, the reason why people are probably coming in and want to take over this temple is, the uniqueness of this temple is this micro minority of Podu Dikshitars are said to have come, this is the Sthala Purana. What it says is, these Dikshitars, 3,000 of them are supposed to have come from Kailasha, after sages like Patanjali, Patanjali and Vyagrapada, who is the father of Upamanyu, who was the guru of Lord Krishna. So Vyagrapada Maharishi and Patanjali Maharishi are the people who ordained these 3,000 Dikshitars who had come from Kailasa to Chidambaram to look after this temple as archakars and as admins.
So it should be the beacon of our culture, civilization and our background, but right now it is deliberately being put under a certain level of scrutiny.
Anandji, when we speak of freeing temples, Chidambaram can actually be taken as a model and can be replicated across Bharat.
That is exactly. Is that perhaps the problem, that if Chidambaram temple can function, why not all the other temples and free them all? Because there is a petition in the Supreme Court for which the Supreme Court has asked the centre and the states to also respond on that aspect. Umaji will take this story forward. I have run out of time tonight. I have run out of time tonight. To all my panelists, thank you very, very much. We will continue to track this story, ladies and gentlemen. Free Hindu temples remains a campaign here at CNN News 18, and perhaps this is a standing tall beacon of our culture and also the fact that temples can